Good morning, Year 5. We are back for our next maths lesson, and today we're doing something slightly different. So, our skill focus this week is to read and interpret timetables. However, the purpose of the lesson is to actually help with one of the tasks that are on your second Mayan home learning grid. If you cast your minds back, there was a task on there challenging you to work out how long it would take to get from France all the way over to Central America. So today we're going to revise how to read timetables. Then I'm going to provide you with some of the resources that you can use to be able to plot that journey and solve the time puzzle for yourself. So there's some questions I want us to consider first. And the first one is, where do we see timetables and why are they useful? Well, hopefully you'll agree, we can see them in quite a few places. You see them at bus stops, you see them at train stations, airports. You can access them all online these days. And they're useful because they tell us when the next part of our journey will be beginning. It tells us when something will be arriving. It tells us when something will be departing. It tells us how long we've got for a break if we're on a journey where we need to have 2 or 3 different parts to it. Information displayed in a row when you read across the timetable is often the arrival times, so it might be for different buses, but then when you read down it shows you at which time each bus will be arriving at each bus stop, for example, or same deal with a train, and so on. This next is really important. It's important to use a 24-hour clock because if we only had a 12-hour clock and we knew let's say our train was departing at 8:42, we wouldn't know if it was 8:42 in the morning or 8:42 in the evening. So it's certainly very useful and important to want to be able to understand a 24-hour clock and then be able to read it, because it would be very annoying to arrive at the station 12 hours early or 12 hours late. I suppose that would be even more annoying. Okay, so here is our first example of a timetable. It is a bus timetable. You can see down the left-hand side we've got all the destinations. And if you read it across the top, so you start at Halifax, there are 5 buses leaving Halifax at different times. So the first one leaves at 6:05, and if you follow down, you can see the times that first bus arrives at all the different destinations. We've got the second bus at 6:35, the third bus at 7:10. Notice that one doesn't stop at Shelf. The fourth bus leaves Halifax at 7:43, and again, if you read down that bus's times, you'll see that one drives straight through Woodside, and also the last bus at 8:15 also doesn't stop at Woodside, and then it carries on through to Bradford at the end of the journey. Come back to this page in a minute if you need to. We're going to have a go at some questions. So the first question is, on the 6:35 bus, how long does it take to get from Shelf to Bradford? So if you think back to when we've looked at reading differences in time before, and we have drawn a timeline. So I've sketched one for you here. You'll see we've got the 2 times in the question. So I've got 6:45 at the beginning of my timeline. Notice the arrow. And then I've got 7:10, which is the arrival time. Now, this is quite a straightforward one to begin with, but hopefully you'll see that I've put 7 o'clock in the middle. Not perfectly in the middle, but to represent the fact that we are crossing over into a new hour. So to work out the time difference, if you start at 6:45, we can count on to 7 o'clock. Remembering there are 60 minutes in an hour. So if we're at 45, we only need to add on 15 more to get to 7 o'clock. And then to get from 7 o'clock to 7:10, that's another 10 minutes. So you can see I've labelled at the top there plus 15 and plus 10. So all together, to get from 6:45 to 7:10, we have taken 25 minutes. This is my turn method that I would recommend you using when you're calculating your time differences today. Again, come back to this as and when you find it useful. So let's have a look at some of these other questions. So, can you travel to Woodside on the 7:43 bus from Halifax? Well, I think I may have already answered that question when I was explaining the timetable, but have a look, find the 7:43 bus and look down. Which journey takes the longest time between Shelf Village and Bradford? So this is a good one to use your timeline that I've just demonstrated. So look at Shelf, look at Bradford. What is the difference in time? If we do the first one together, you've got 6:15 and 6:40. So we are counting on 25 minutes there. The second one we've just done, then we've got 7:59 and 8:31. How long do they take to get to Bradford? Have a go for me. The next question, if you needed to travel from Halifax to Odsal and had to arrive by 8:20, which would be the best bus to catch? So we've got to get to Odsal by 8:20. We don't want to be late and we don't want to be hanging around as well. So look at the Odsal times. You've got 6:26, 6:55, 7:33, 8:15 and 8:45. Which of those is the nearest to 8:20 without us being late? Which bus takes the longest from Halifax to Bradford? So another timeline one. Amir travels on the 6:35 bus from Halifax to Woodside. How many minutes is he on the bus? And then finally, the 8:15 bus is running 12 minutes late. What time does it arrive at Odsal? So look at 8:15 bus on the end there. It should arrive in Odsal at 8:45, but it's 12 minutes late. So we've got to go 12 minutes after 8:45. What will that be? Right, let's move up a notch. So we don't just have bus timetables, and we've talked about other modes of transport. There used to be a time when we'd have TV schedules. I mean, you can just press the button on your remote control these days and it'll do it for you. But this is an example of what they might have looked like. So we've got Nature Watch +1, Quiz Time, and the Cookery channel. So we're going to try and solve a problem using this one for Ron. Ron wants to watch the following TV programs: Cheese Please, What's the Queue, Amazement, Budget Baker, Safari, Dance and Decide. Will Ron be able to watch all the shows he has chosen? So, are any of them on at the same time? Do any of them cross over, or are they all separate? Have a look for me. Write down what you think. This is what I'll be hoping you will be able to send into the Year 5 address later on. Okay, and then the next problem I want us to have a go at is this one. This might be something that you will see in about 18 months' time. It's a secondary school timetable. So we've got true or false this time. You notice on the left-hand side, we have got the days of the week. And on the right-hand side, across the top, we've got the times for different lessons. And then we've got the lessons filled in the middle. So true or false, Rosie has 2 hours and 20 minutes of PE in a week. So if you look at Thursday, I can see PE there. You've got 9:15 to 9:55. So that's 40 minutes so far. And then over on Friday afternoon, nice way to end the week for Rosie, we've got 1:45 all the way through to 3:25. So that is 1:45 takes you up to 2 o'clock. So that's 15 minutes. If I'm imagining my timeline in my head at the moment, 2 o'clock till 3 o'clock is an hour. So we're on an hour and 15 so far, plus another 25. So we're on an hour and 40, and in the 40 we already had takes us up to 2 hours and 20. So it's true. Okay, Rosie has 130 minutes of literacy in a week. Think about using your timeline for that one. And you can see literacy is in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Rosie does art for the same length of time as maths each week. Work out those times. And Rosie does art for the same time, so same length of time as English each week. True or false? So again, use your timeline to solve those problems, and then please send them in as I mentioned before. Right, what I want to do now is get on to the challenge that we set you with the My and Home Learning Grid. So if I was starting at French and I'm thinking the best way for me to get from France to Central America is I'm probably going to use a bus first to get from France to the train station. And then my thought would be from the train station in Kidderminster, I want to get to Birmingham International because that's the airport, and then so that'd be on the train, and then get on a plane from Birmingham International Airport over to Central America. And probably the biggest airport and most accessible airport would be Mexico City in Mexico, obviously. And from there, I would be able to go and explore Central America. So to begin with, here is a bus timetable which has French on it, and there's a little map at the top, and you will see the times underneath. Now, unless you might be able to find a better one than I can, because it doesn't take you exactly to the train station. You can maybe get off the bus at the Swan Centre and walk up, or somewhere around there might do. So that might add an extra 10 minutes into your time. It's worth considering. So that's your bus timetable. I'm not going to show you what the time is because that's for you to work out. But let's imagine now you've got from France, you've got to the train station. So now we have the train schedule. Okay, so we've got 9:55. It departs and arrives at Birmingham International at 11:13. And then you can see some other options below. So now, hopefully, you are at Birmingham International. Now, this is where it starts to get a little bit frustrating, because when I did a little research into flights from Birmingham to Mexico City, the only flight time that I found was 11:30. Now, originally that sounds like that's okay, but the problem is the earliest train time arrived at Birmingham International at 11:13. So that will leave you 17 minutes to get off the train into the airport, check in, go through passports and all that kind of stuff, and then get on the plane and then fly, which is something I would imagine is almost impossible to do. So you could help yourself by Googling other times, see if there are other times available, or it might be that you get a later train and then get the flight the following morning. So maybe you've got to consider staying over somewhere in Birmingham the night before. Entirely up to you how you work that problem out. But then it says you should arrive in Mexico at 8:10. Well, you notice it's 24 hours because it says 20 and 10, but 8:10 in the evening. So it's a 14-hour, it works out for us, and 40-minute flight, which is it's a long flight. However, is the difference between 11:30 and 8:10 in the evening, is that 14 hours and 40 minutes? Doesn't sound right to me. Reason being, Mexico is in a different time zone. So even if you worked out your total time taken traveling to get to Mexico City, something else to consider is this here. We have different time zones. So for an extra twist on the challenge, how many time zones would we pass through to get from Birmingham to Mexico City? And also, what is the time difference between where we are and where we're going to? Are they hours in front of us? Are they hours behind us? What is the difference between the two ends of the journey? Once you've solved your problem, worked out your total journey time, and thought about the time zones, send in your solutions to the Year 5 email address, because I'll be really keen to see who can get from France to Mexico City in the quickest but realistic time going. Good luck, Year 5.